Why do we watch people buy abandoned homes abroad? Every day, millions of people do something rather unusual. They open YouTube and choose to spend the next half hour watching a complete stranger repair an abandoned house in another country. Not a celebrity or an architect, usually just an ordinary person or couple who have bought an old farmhouse in France, or a crumbling cottage in Portugal, or a forgotten village house in Italy. Sometimes almost nothing happens. A doorway is repaired, a roof tile is replaced. An entire episode might revolve around clearing one room full of rubble. By every rule we're told governs the internet, these videos shouldn't work. They're slow and quiet, and they rarely end on a dramatic cliffhanger. And yet millions of people return, week after week, sometimes for years, to watch another small piece of the same building come back to life. I've often found myself among them, not because I'm planning to buy an abandoned house. I'm not moving overseas, and I have absolutely no desire to discover that an 18th century roof has decided to collapse during winter. So why am I watching? More interestingly, why are so many other people watching too? At first, I assumed the answer was obvious. People like beautiful old buildings. Who doesn't enjoy seeing carved stone, ancient beams, or forgotten gardens slowly emerge from beneath decades of neglect? But then I realized something. If the buildings were the real attraction, we'd probably be just as happy watching professionally produced documentaries about historic houses. These videos feel different. Some restoration channels have audiences who have quietly followed the same project for 7 or 8 years. Think about that for a moment. During that time, viewers haven't simply watched walls being rebuilt. They've watched children grow taller, dogs grow old, plans change, and winters come and go. The renovation continues almost in the background. Without quite noticing, many viewers stop watching a building and begin accompanying a life. That struck me as rather extraordinary. Somewhere along the way, complete strangers become familiar. You find yourself hoping they finally fix the leaking roof before winter arrives. You feel relieved when planning permission is approved, disappointed when another unexpected problem appears. Sometimes you even catch yourself thinking, "We finally finished the kitchen." We? It's an odd little word. After all, nobody watching lifted a single hammer or spent weeks removing old plaster. And yet, somehow, we begin speaking as though we've joined the project ourselves. At what point does someone else's impossible undertaking begin to feel, in some quiet way, like our own? The more I thought about it, the less convinced I became that these videos are really about abandoned houses at all. I began to suspect they were revealing something much more interesting. I started reading what psychologists have to say about this sort of thing. At first, I thought I might find a neat answer. Instead, I found several fascinating ideas, each of which seemed to explain part of the mystery, but none of them completely. One idea stayed with me. Psychologists talk about something called possible selves. It simply means the different versions of ourselves we carry in our imagination, the person we once thought we'd become, or we still hope we might become. Even the person we might have become if life had unfolded just a little differently. For a long time, researchers assumed these imagined futures became less important as we grew older, but they don't. Studies suggest that even in our 70s, 80s, and beyond, people continue imagining new futures for themselves. Those futures simply become different. That made me wonder whether these videos allow us to visit one of those possible lives. We know perfectly well what we're watching, But perhaps we're quietly trying on another version of ourselves. The version that did something unexpected. The version that looked at a life everyone else considered sensible and chose another one. Perhaps these videos simply give those unlived possibilities somewhere to exist. Researchers have found that we don't merely observe other people's experiences. Sometimes we mentally participate in them. We begin seeing the world through their eyes. Without noticing, their goals temporarily become our goals. Their small victories become strangely satisfying. Which brings me back to that tiny word, we. We finally got the roof finished. We found the original floor. It's such an odd thing to say, but perhaps it's also wonderfully human. For most of history, building was rarely something people watched from a distance. Communities raised barns together. Neighbors helped repair homes. Cathedrals took generations to build, with entire towns watching them slowly emerge over decades. People didn't simply admire transformation, they witnessed it. Sometimes they became part of it. I can't help wondering whether these YouTube channels accidentally recreate a little of that feeling as we quietly accompany people whose work has become meaningful to us. There's another detail I couldn't quite ignore. Why does it almost always happen somewhere else? France, Italy, Portugal, or Japan? The more I thought about it, the less convinced I became that this was simply about beautiful places. If the same renovation happened 3 streets away, we'd probably think about property prices, planning permission, insurance, and other practical things. But somewhere else, it remains wonderfully free of practicalities. It belongs to the imagination. It's distant enough that we don't immediately start calculating whether we could actually do it. Instead, we simply wonder what it might feel like. Perhaps that's why these stories are so compelling. They're close enough to imagine, far enough that they never demand a decision. They allow us to explore another life without asking us to leave our own. And somehow, that feels quietly liberating. The mystery isn't why people restore abandoned houses. It's why the rest of us enjoy accompanying them. Because, in truth, very little of what we're watching has anything to do with bricks or roof tiles. It's about uncertainty and patience. It's about beginning something without knowing whether you'll finish it. Some of the most important work we do leaves almost nothing visible behind. Perhaps that's why these restorations feel so satisfying. Effort has a shape. Progress can actually be seen. One careful decision becomes another and another, until something that once seemed beyond saving begins to feel like a home again. I also wonder whether these stories arrive at a particular moment in life. When we're young, we're usually busy building our own futures. Everything feels unfinished because it is. But as the years pass, we begin recognizing that there isn't just one life we could have lived. There were many. Most of us don't regret every road we didn't take, but I think we remain curious about them. Perhaps these videos give us a safe place to visit one of those unlived lives for a while. There's also something hopeful about watching ordinary people begin again. Sometimes they wonder if they've done something terribly foolish, and then, somehow, they carry on. Perhaps that's the story we've been following all along. Not the restoration of an old building, the restoration of confidence, the slow discovery that difficult things can become familiar, that problems which once felt overwhelming slowly become manageable, that today's beginner eventually becomes tomorrow's expert. The house simply gives that journey a visible form. Perhaps, for half an hour, we're not really watching somebody renovate an abandoned home. Perhaps we're watching an ordinary person prove that the future is never quite as settled as it seems. And perhaps that's enough to make our own futures feel just a little more open, too. Thank you for spending this time with me. Until next time, keep noticing.